If you're a console gamer and you've been looking for an immersive 4K monitor for all your gaming experience, then you need to check out this BenQ monitor. This is the BenQ EX271U 165Hz gaming monitor, and I'm gonna give you my honest feedback on using it for over a month for gaming and productivity. It's been a real upgrade for me ever since I built my PC. And I need a monitor that could take advantage of my graphics card, and has done that so well. But there are some things you need to be aware of if you plan on purchasing this monitor. And in this video, I'm gonna help you decide if this is the right fit for you. First off, it is a 4K monitor and the refresh rate is 165 Hz, which is a relatively high refresh rate, so you're gonna have a very smooth experience using it. The monitor uses a 1 millisecond G2G, so it has ultra fast response times. And for those of you who use high dynamic range while you're gaming, it has HDR 400. It uses 95% DCI P3, which I found to be very good when I'm using it for productivity work, and the colors are very accurate. There are 3 HDMI ports on the back, and one of them is an eARC port. You also have a display port 1.4, and then there's a PD 65 watt USB-C port that transfers the display, and then there's also another USB-C port. And if you're looking for even more ports, on the bottom of the monitor there are 3 USB-A ports, another USB-C port, and you also have a 3.5mm jack for audio. The big takeaway is the eARC HDMI port. Most monitors don't have this option. You're usually stuck choosing between multi-channel audio output and 4K 120Hz output. Now you can enjoy 4K 120Hz or 144Hz with 7.1 surround sound at the same time. It also uses something called ESS DAC, which is a built-in digital to analog audio converter delivering 78% pure signal with ultra low levels of noise and distortion. It ensures unparalleled listening experiences. It also has AMD FreeSync for those of you who have AMD graphics card, which helps prevent screen tearing. One of the biggest key features is that it has its own proprietary Pixel, which is an engine that runs on it that helps make your games look better. This is comprised of 4 key components. 1, panel standardization, meaning it has consistent color reproduction across individual panels, ensuring you have visual accuracy. Next is games color alignment, which uses a game-specific database of games' best color settings to adjust the hue, saturation, and luminance color models to give you an immersive gaming experience. Adaptive contrast adjustment, which optimizes the display for the best 3D and light and shadow performance. This enhances visual depth and realism. Last is the AI Enhanced Auto Adjustment, which leverages an on-chip algorithm. And BenQ has their own software called Color Shuttle, which allows you to fine-tune your perfect picture style for your game. So I've used this as my main monitor since the end of December for all my Photoshop and DaVinci Resolve color grading and editing, and I find that the DCI P3 color space is pretty damn accurate, and everything that I edit on my PC and then I transfer to my iPhone or post on social media looks extremely accurate. I use an iPhone, so everything that I post on social media looks how it did on the monitor. And on a basic consumer level, I think that's what people are looking for. So if you want to use it in that use case, it will work for you. I also wanted to find a monitor that I could use for productivity work and gaming. It's an easy switch for me to go from an edit to high-level competitive gaming on the fly. I was actually using this Asus 240Hz monitor for some of my edits, and it's 7 years old, so the technology has been dated, so this monitor has replaced that. And having an upgrade from 1080 to 4K is extremely apparent. And when I'm playing the game that I'm obsessed with right now, Marvel Rivals, you can see the huge difference in the clarity and detail of the character models and the environments you're in when you're using this monitor. And when I'm playing this game, I'm using NVIDIA DLSS Performance, which everything looks just as it would if I was rendering it native. And I'm using the low settings with only the character models on ultra. And the models look great on 4K on performance DLSS, and honestly I'm getting frame rates between 140 and 160, so I'm really maximizing the refresh rate on this monitor. And even though I'm using it for PC gaming, it was designed with PS5 and console gamers in mind because the back is curved and it's white. On my setup I have everything white too, so it fits right in. So if you have a PS5, this monitor is going to pair perfectly with your setup. And an honorable mention is the stand that comes with it, and it was inspired by spacecraft landing gear, and I think it looks pretty cool. The stand has swivel, tilt, and height adjustment, everything that you'd expect to have from a stand. For me, I rigged this monitor with Secret Lab Magnus Pro arms. I just find that stands take up a lot of desk space if you're a PC gamer, but if you're a console gamer, I'm sure this won't be a problem at all. And I think my favorite part of this monitor is the drastic change from 1080 to 4K. Everything just looks better, crisper, sharper. my icons are smaller, and I have more real estate when I'm editing and doing other things on the internet. And I think the color and contrast on this monitor look great too. When I compare it to my old monitor, everything kind of looked a little washed out. Even when I changed the settings on it, it just wasn't nicely fine-tuned, and you can just tell the attention to detail that they put into this monitor. And when I'm gaming, everything looks amazing and crisp and saturated and very appealing to the eye when I'm playing. When you look at the specs of this monitor, the 165 Hz and then the Pixel engine, you know that BenQ was really caring about console gamers. There's so many features on this monitor that just show that it is perfect for a console gamer. Right now, the only console that I personally use is the Steam Deck. Now, 27 inches is a really nice size for a gaming monitor. A lot of people might think that bigger is better, and you could potentially argue that 32 inches might be a better fit. But if you're playing first-person shooters, having a screen that's too big is going to be very jarring and confusing, and sometimes you might need to push the monitor back. But for first-person shooter gaming, 27 inches is a great sweet spot, and there's not a lot to be desired outside of that size. Now, if you mainly play platformers, action adventures, or RPGs, you might want a more immersive experience with a larger monitor, but this one looks really good. But competitive gaming is a different story. There is a sweet spot. It is a great option for portable PCs because of its one PD 65 watt USB-C port, and you can use it with your Ally X or your Steam Deck. And then it also has a lot of other USB-C ports and USB-A ports, so you can connect peripherals to it as well. So it's like one of those USB-C hubs you might use on your Steam Deck, but it's built into the monitor. Usually when you have a monitor, it has different modes built into it depending on how you're using the monitor. So you might be using the monitor for first-person gaming or watching a movie or playing a platformer, and you can switch the mode depending on what you're doing. So you're playing a first-person shooter and you change the mode to FPS, so you should be good, right? But what if you're playing two different first-person shooters and they both have dramatically different art styles, something like Halo versus Marvel Rivals? That model has become outdated, and BenQ's been ahead of the curve, and they've been thinking about how they can remedy this solution. They've created their own color tuning with 3 gamer experience color modes: fantasy, sci-fi, and realistic. The fantasy mode is designed to enhance textures that are typically of fantasy games like leather, stone, and flickering fire to enhance immersion. The sci-fi mode amplifies metallic textures and creates futuristic atmosphere, showcasing sci-fi games with a sleek design and a blend of cold, vibrant hues. And the third is realistic mode, which reproduces exceptional live contrast and natural saturation. This mode makes textures like wood, fabric, and skin look authentic and blurs the line between virtual and reality. Now let's talk about the drawbacks of the monitor. It's 165 Hz, which is a little low for me in refresh rate. I don't think it's make or break because 165 Hz is okay for most people, especially if you're a console gamer. It gives you a lot of headroom from what the console can actually reproduce in terms of frame rate. The caveat to this is you need a really powerful graphics card to produce a 4K image at 240 Hz. So you need an NVIDIA 4090 or a 50 series card to even get 4K frames that high that can utilize the refresh rate. So while I'd like more frames, I'm using an NVIDIA 4070 Ti Super, and the most amount of frames I can get at 4K with some of the lowest settings is 140 to 160. So I'm really in a sweet spot with this monitor. That's why it's so important to know which monitor you're getting with the components inside your PC. But if you're a console gamer, this isn't really a big deal to you. You just want a monitor that has about 140 to 160 Hertz to maximize what your console can produce. Another consideration is the price. It retails for $599. It's not a low tier monitor and it's not a super high tier monitor. It's a mid tier monitor and it's right in that sweet spot. But if you do spend the money on it, I can see you using it for years down the line. I think if you're a console gamer and you want eARC support, you want to maximize the frames that you can get out of your console with the right refresh rate, and then you want color tune accuracy and immersion in your games, this is a great monitor for you. And I think it's a solid option for PC, but you got to consider that OLED is becoming the new standard. It's an IPS display, but I don't think that's make or break because I bought the Ally X and I thought the image looked really good, and that also uses an IPS display. And I have the Steam Deck OLED. So OLED does look better, but IPS isn't going away anytime soon. Overall, I think if you're a console gamer, this monitor was designed for you in mind and it's a great option. And if you're a PC gamer, I don't think it'll disappoint, especially if you're using it for the color modes that it gives you. If you found this review helpful, I'm gonna leave a link to the monitor in the description where you can pick it up. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I appreciate you guys watching my videos. I'll see you on the next one.